As many of you asked me about this, I want to show you in this video how you can make the offbeat or a more groovy bass line. If you aren't already subscribed to this channel and you want to see more simple and effective Psytrance tutorials, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. So let's take a look at the offbeat bassline. I'm using it here in the first half or third of my track, basically so from here to here. So we have an intro here, then we come with rising kick and bass, and then I drop here with that offbeat bass line, 16 bars, and then with drums and go into a break, and then my normal bass line comes. But general, you are very free to arrange it in a different way. You can bring it after the intro, you can bring it as a separate block in the middle, or you can bring it after a drop in the second half to give some variation and to bring a kind of like a new groove into it. And now I want to show you how it sounds. So that's the offbeat bassline or the groovy bassline, and there's like many different variations from it. So I even have like 2 in here. I wouldn't change the bassline pattern too much, but I thought it was nice here to have a little bit difference to when drums come. And here too, for example, in a different pattern with the drums. And I basically use the same patch for my offbeat bassline than for my normal bassline. So if we look into, I bounced it here to audio, we'll come back to that later, why I do that. But let's look into it. This is basically the same bass patch I have explained in the previous tutorial very quick, and I will explain this deeper in another tutorial. It's a bass based on a sample. I just have it here on a different key, so I made some adjustments, but it's very simple. It just has like a bass sample in it, and here the level is mapped to the velocity. We have a filter which I control with 2 envelopes, one to give some extra pluck and one for the main movement, and we have an amplitude envelope. And I think that's more or less it. But I want to come back to this patch in the future with more detail. And now if we look into it, so I have EQ and compression as I show in my Ana bass tutorial. So nothing special, nothing different so far. And that's basically the main bass pattern I go from. And then as I explained in the previous video, I do all my progressions and check out different things. So for example, I do the groovy bass line and the flat bass line in here. So as you can see, this is kind of like the normal flat bass line. We have 3 notes, and here I have my groovy or offbeat bass line patterns. And basically what offbeat bassline means, or what the essence is, you have like a kick here, a kick here, a kick here, a kick here, and you mainly kind of like fill this in between spots here. So this is kind of the offbeat spot where you put the bassline then in. So you have like kick, bass, but you don't have to be like that limited. So you can do anything you can do with other bassline here as well. So you can change the notes. So in that track I'm in D. So this one, for example, is a flat one. I think they're all flat, but you could also go like this. That you, for example, go with 1 note higher here. And then you could do something like this. And make your progression there, and then maybe raise this one, and this one, And we could, for example, do something like this. You can go like really wild if you want here. So this is kind of like the main thing. So usually if you want to go have more that kind of like offbeat style, then you place it more in the in these middle positions here. If you want to go for something more like groovy, then you can still kind of like use those positions, but you don't keep that kind of like straight pattern that you have 3 almost 16th notes. Then you just give some variations by like shorter and longer notes. So like here. And as mentioned, you can also go up and down in notes if you want. Everything is allowed. Feel creative, feel free, because the main intention, I think, of those kind of bass lines is to give some fresh vibe and to escape a little bit from that rigid thing we have in Psytrance, where you always have the 3 notes hammering that hypnotic vibes into it. And this is something more like groovy, something new, something fresh, which will wake up people, which is great after breaks and or even after the intro. I think it's something which brings something new to the ears of the audience, and therefore you can experiment a bit. So that's basically the patch, as I explained, is the same as all my bassline patches. Then the groove, this is the thing with the groove. And the processing basically is also like the same, like in a normal bassline. So this, those shapers I use to duck the low end of the first bass note. But if you go for like a offbeat thing, then you have your kick here and your bassline here, and so you are not really meeting those two, so you don't need that here. And that's why I basically put my offbeat bassline here in this channel, and this is like the bassline with the side chained thing, because here I have the first note meeting with the kick. And here I don't have, as you can see, there's some space here. So that's why I put it on different channels. Maybe because I changed the pattern here, I could bring it here as well, or move this to the channel down here. But that said, it's basically the same thing. You don't need to think differently besides that groove pattern. And I want to show you a little bit more than about the processing. So what I then do is I take this and then I check out which notes I have. I have like a short note, a long note, and I have like a longer note in a higher key here. And then I'm kind of like isolating those notes here. So that's kind of like all my notes which come in my progression: short note with lower velocity, longer note, short note with higher velocity, and longer note in a higher key. And once I have it reduced to this pattern, I will duplicate this channel. I will remove all the stuff I don't need. So let's say I'm just doing this one. So in my track I did different ones, as I explained, and also like the flat one. And then I would just freeze this. And once I've frozen this, I can just take this, and I already created this bass offbeat channel here. So I will just move it somewhere along here. As you can see, I did exactly like this in this track. So I moved the notes which I have cut here, and then I moved the original, the pattern. So you remember it was this here, this one. I also move on top here, and then it's quite easy. I can basically see how the pattern flows, and I can take those notes, and as I explained already in a previous video, I nudge them like completely here to where I want to have them starting. Maybe somewhere like here. And the same here. I ignore this one because this is actually not what I want to have. I think this here, I think is the pre-ringing from the EQ. So I don't want to have that anyways. I bring that in a similar position. So what I'm kind of like looking for is here, if you see like the main thing starts somewhere here. Now I don't want to have like total different distances here. So I want to have like one of those squares maybe in between and look for a point which already is kind of like looking like the starting point minus the pre-ringing here from the EQ, and then I go like this. So maybe move that even a little bit closer so that we have like same amount of distances here. It's anyways just like a little fraction of time. So it won't matter too much in my opinion. We bring that all here, and then we remove the gain here. We'll quantize it with Command-Shift-U to 16th notes. Then we're gonna chop it up. You can chop it a little bit shorter, it doesn't matter, because you can also extend it if you want and make it shorter if you want. So we chop it up. Now we have our notes, and the first thing I would do is that you fade them a little bit, because you need to be careful. As you have seen from the pre-ringing, there could be like a little bit which gives you then a click, and also we want to have like a very tiny fade in the end here. So that's the first thing I will do to all of those, so that we have a nice starting and ending point. And I zoom really in because you don't want to like fade over the click of the bass, because then you are destroying it. So like this. And the next thing is, it depends a bit on how you want it. If you want to keep it like that long because you kind of like sampled the note and you're ending here well, or if you want to shorten it a bit, you can do this now, but I would do it now before you copy it. And after that, I will look at the pattern, and maybe, I mean, you can even shorten it later if you decide that it sounds better. But for example, I leave it like this because we could record notes like this and they end here. So I think it will sound good, but they're still not overlapping into the next note. And we will look at the original pattern, and we will remember, so we have like here, short, lower, then two, lower. I think we don't even have that higher short note I included. So all the short notes have a lower velocity, if I'm right here. Yeah, and then we're gonna just go over here. We can even remove this one. And just copy this across. And then we will look at the longer notes. We'll put them all in place. And now we should have our bass line. I just noted I pushed it in the wrong channel. It was here. And we can take this and check if it sounds good. I just placed it somewhere where I have a kick playing. So let's remove this one here. Loop it, and we check if we sound like we want. And then, as I have shown in a previous tutorial as well, you should always take a look at the span and check that your notes are not peaking too high and you're out of the limit. Yeah, I think we're a little bit too high, maybe like 1 dB or something. So we want to basically be here at minus 42, and then we need to adjust for that. So let's go 1.4. So now we have created our pattern, we have checked that everything is in the level, and from here, from the audio, you can do additional things you couldn't do in the MIDI, which are also very interesting. So remember here in the here we are able to kind of like manipulate the notes, the length of the notes, the tone, so we can go high or low, the velocity. But here in audio we have some additional options you can also do. One is, for example, you could reverse notes. So you could go like, maybe not here in the beginning, but you could go maybe like this and reverse here this note and maybe this one. And then we would sound like this. I think on that one is not so cool, but we could go here maybe. That one I didn't like either. You need to experiment a lot to find what you like. And you can even change the progression a bit. And you can do even more things. You can also shorten notes. So this is the reversed one shortened. And you can also do a lot of weird and wicked things. You could, for example, divide it by 2. You need to be a little bit careful if you manipulate the BPM and stuff, because you easily can change the tone of the bass note. But now we would basically have a longer note, 1 octave higher, because it's double that fast. And if you then work with the warp modes, you might find something interesting. Maybe like this. And you're limiting yourself to only the options you have in MIDI. And if you go like this, then you can change everything, and you can still keep this version. As you have seen, I didn't delete it here. If I want to do something new, I can just do something new. If I want to create a new note, then I can replace it. And even if you then consolidated this with Command J, and then you decide at a later point that you want to change something, then you just go in and then you will just remove this note and replace it with maybe another one. So you have many options if you kind of like combine the MIDI with the audio, and you can get like really cool results with that.